This is my standing up from ruku'. What should I do now? I should go for sujood. Now for sujood, there are two ways, a different of opinion among scholars. Should I land first on my knees or should I land first on my hands? It's an issue of dispute. And the reason of that is the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, when he said that one should not go down like a camel does when the camel wants to sit. Rather, he should put his hands first before his knees. And understanding whether the hands of a camel are their elbows or the knees in his feet, it's an issue of dispute. Either way is okay, inshallah. So, however you feel comfortable with, you should do it. I personally, due to age, due to praying on marble or stones, whenever there are pebbles in the ground, if you land from the standing position on your knees, would surely injure yourself, one way or the other. For elders, it's difficult to go on their knees, especially if they have knee problems. It's always best to go first on the hand. It's like a shock absorber. It absorbs the fall itself. It eases the pressure on and the weight on the knees. So how to do this? This is what we'll, inshallah, show you now. So, in order to do sujood, you will find that I'll take my glasses. Now I can't see you, but alhamdulillah, you can see me. Why do you take your glasses off, Sheikh? Because it will hinder putting the sujood spots properly. What do you mean by sujood? Prostration, as the Prophet said, I was ordered to prostrate on 7 limbs. He said, the face, and he pointed to his nose, meaning the forehead and the nose. These are related. This is one organ. The hands, the knees, and the feet. These are 7. So, I want to go to sujood. Do I raise my hands? No. I just say Allahu Akbar while falling to sujood. And this is what I do. Allahu Akbar. This is the way of performing sujood. What are the things I should paying attention to? Before I do the prostration, I'm still in the standing position. You have to know that, first of all, my hands should be pointing to the Qibla. So my hands are not this way and are not this way. Rather, they are pointing to the Qibla. Now, where should I place my hands? I have the option either to place my hands next to my shoulders or a little bit close to my ears. My knees are not so close together, they are apart. My feet, they are close to each other, erect, with some toes, not all of them, because it's impossible to have all your toes pointing to the Qibla, but the toes that are bendable can point to the Qibla. My arms are wide and spread, so my biceps are not close to my sides. So I have to spread as I'm spreading my wings. And my stomach is not touching my thighs. Some people just go very down. And I'll show you quickly, hopefully to the best of my knowledge and ability. So my forehead, my nose must touch the ground. And these 7 limbs must touch the ground throughout the sujood. Because part of the famous mistakes is having your feet dangling. Or some of the brothers having the left hand on the ground and the other hand while prostrating, playing with his beard or looking at something in his pocket. So he's prostrating on 6 limbs, and this renders his sujood void if he does this without any legitimate reason. So I was standing up. Now I'm falling into the sujood position, and I'm saying Allahu Akbar in between. So let's look at how I make the sujood. This is one of the ways of doing it. So my hands and fingers should be pointing towards the Qibla. My face, my forehead, and my nose are touching the ground. I should have my arms apart and away from my body. And at the same time, my stomach is not touching my thighs. Some brothers do this, and this is wrong. And this is too much spread. So the appropriate way is either having my hands next to my ears or to my shoulders. I can have this one here, and I can have this one here. Look at my feet. They are touched together, not far away. They are touched together with my toes bent towards the Qibla as much as possible. Now, if I'm praying next to people, to my right and to my left, if I do this, I'm going to annoy them and maybe harm them. So it is permissible when you are in a tight position to put your elbows on your thighs or inside. What is haram and prohibited is to do this. This is prohibited, which I have my forearms on the ground like a dog. And the Prophet said that this is totally prohibited. What should I say when I'm prostrating? Subhana Rabbi al-A'la. Subhana Rabbi al-A'la wa bihamdih. Sabbuhun qaddusun Rabbul malaikati wal ruh. So many du'as. The minimum requirement, Subhana Rabbi al-A'la. Can I make dua? Go ahead, make dua. As much as I want, as much as you want. Oh Allah, pay my debts. Oh Allah, guide my children. Oh Allah, guide my wife. Oh Allah, get me a second wife. Oh Allah, grant me health, whatever. In Arabic. Sheikh, I'm non-Arab and I can't say it in Arabic. No problem, say it in your own language. Oh, this is interesting. Yes, the closest you are is when you are in sujood position. So if I'm in my sujood position and I would like to sit between the two prostrations, I say, Allahu Akbar. And I sit on my left foot. This is called iftirash. And I erect my right foot with as many possible toes towards the Qibla. My hands are on my thighs and my knees. So it's in between. The area is possible. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do this. It's here. Sit normally. Don't be so technical. Sometimes people are so technical, they forget the prayer, they forget what they recited and just think, oh, am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? Be natural. Follow the sunnah, acknowledge that this is the sunnah, the way of the Prophet, and do it naturally. And when I sit like this, I say, Rabbi ghfirli. Minimum is once. I can say 10 times, 10, 20 times. I can say 2, 3, 4, whatever. Rabbi ghfirli, Rabbi ghfirli. Issue of dispute. Is saying Rabbi ghfirli mandatory or sunnah? Some scholars say it's sunnah. I am inclined to say that it is mandatory because the Prophet ﷺ always used to say it. Any other dua? Yes, there is a longer dua. Rabbi ghfirli warhamni wa'afini wajburni wahdini warfa'ni. All of this is possible. This is the prostration or the sitting between the two prostrations. It's called iftirash. And if you would like to show it from behind, I'm sitting on my left foot and my right foot is erect. This is the sunnah. Sheikh, I have problems with my right foot, so can I put it down like this? No problem. Sheikh, I'd like to sit with 2 feet on one another because this is the only way I feel comfortable. No problem. Your prayer is valid. You will lose the reward of the sunnah. But your prayer is totally valid, akhi. No problem. Not only that, Abdullah ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, at the end of his time, he used to sit cross-legged. And when some of his companions followed him, he said, no, this is not the sunnah. I'm doing this because of my knees. You should sit like the sunnah. But the position is what? Sitting. So no matter how you sit, there are things, but the more you are following the Prophet, the better it is for your reward. I must do a second sujood. And it's the same format. I say, Allahu Akbar. The same thing exactly, Subhana Rabbil A'la. Now, after I finish my sujood, I have to rise up to the second rak'ah. There is a sunnah that is called Jalsatul Istiraha, where I stand up. Before I stand up, I give a small pause. And then I say, Allahu Akbar. So, when standing up, one should not stand with 4 fingers between the 2 feet, like some schools of thought say. And you go to the masjid and you find the people standing like this. What is this? If you want to answer the call of nature, go ahead, but don't come to the prayer when you're this tight. So this is, the way I'm standing is wrong. Some brothers, when they want to come and pray, they do this. Why? He says, the one on the right is far away from me, and the one on the left is far from me. And the brothers is doing this and doing this. Akhi, what are you doing? This is done in karate, in taekwondo, but not in prayer. So how should I stand? Stand normally, akhi. The width of your shoulders should be relevant to the distance between your 2 feet. Don't stand like this, because this is not pointing to the Qibla. And don't stand like this, because this means you have to see your orthopedic surgeon. You have a problem with your knees. But stand in a normal way, either like this or a little bit away from each other. Make it natural the way you stand. So I rose to the second rak'ah. Do I raise my hands? No. I simply say Allahu Akbar and resume my second rak'ah exactly as the first rak'ah. And I recite the Fatiha. I recite an optional surah afterwards, as according to the Sunnah. Now, one thing that we need to pay attention to, and 90% of Muslims are doing, unfortunately, it is a mandatory act of reciting the Quran, of making dhikr, of making dua, is to move your lips. What do you mean, Sheikh? If you pray the Fatiha like this, I just said Ameen in my head. I did not move my lips. I did not move my tongue. Your prayer is invalid. Oof, invalid? Yes, it's totally invalid. Why? See, when I think of punching my cameraman in the face, or taking the wallet of the man sitting there and robbing him of his money, I didn't utter it. I didn't act upon it. There is no sin on me. Whatever goes in my mind, there is no sin. Likewise, if I just simply recite the Quran in my mind without moving my lips with it, it does not count. It's just scanning things in my head. I have to say, I have to move my lips and my tongue. And this is why when some of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ came to him, he said to him, your tongue must remain moist with the remembrance of Allah. Which means that you have to move your tongue when reciting the Quran, saying Allahu Akbar. The people, they do like this. And they keep on their prayer without moving the lips, and this is totally wrong. One of the things that a lot of the Muslims also make a mistake in is keeping their eyes closed. So what are you doing? Well, I am daydreaming. I think I'm on the beach in Côte d'Azur, in Cannes or Nice. Wow, it's fun. Allahu Akbar. What? This is totally haram. Why are you closing your eyes? He said, oh, Sheikh, I'm distracted. Whenever I keep my eyes open, the man in front of me is moving, and the next one to me is touching his pocket, and the third one is picking his nose, and every time I feel tempted to look at my watch, and sometimes I say, Sami Allahu liman hamida, and I watch the chandeliers and the lights and the writing on the wall, I get distracted, so I close my eyes. This is not permissible. Why? Because neither the Prophet ﷺ nor his companions had ever done this, and they had more things to distract them than you. Now, if you tell me that there's a child in front of you while praying, sometimes you get these situations. You get a 3-year or 4-year-old child standing in front of you, looking into your eyes and doing faces to you. This would make you break into laughter. So in order to avoid this, you close your eyes for maybe 5-10 seconds until he goes away. This is okay. But to think that tranquility comes only through closing your eyes while doing this, this is against the sunnah and it's not permissible. Also, one of the common mistakes is that when you are in the ruku' position and you say, Sami Allahu liman hamidah, people think that this is time for dua qunut. So they say, Sami Allahu liman hamidah, Rabbana wa lakal hamd, hamdan kathiran tayyiban mubarakan. This is wrong. The raising of the hands should be Sami Allahu liman hamidah. If you want to make dua, either put your hands to your sides or to what I have indicated to earlier, put the right on the left on the chest and say, Rabbana wa lakal hamd, hamdan kathiran tayyiban mubarakan fi. This is only done in qunut of witr. When you're making dua, in qunut of witr, not during your prayers as usual. I bow and I prostrate and then I sit for the first tashahhud. So when I rise up from the second sujood to sit for my first tashahhud, I'm in the position of iftirash. I sit on my left foot with my right foot erect, with my toes pointing to the qibla. And I begin to say at-tahiyyat, which is mandatory. Now, my left hand is on my knee and thigh in here. My right hand has 2 positions. The first position is to grab the 2 pinky and the one next to it finger, to attach the middle finger with the thumb, doing a circle like this, and to point with my index finger like this. This is position 1, which the sunnah came with. The second position is to make a fist with all 4 fingers, pointing only with the index finger. So, either this or this. Now, what do I do with the index finger? The sunnah, as in the hadith of Wa'il ibn Hujr, the Prophet, whenever he sat alayhi salatu wasalam for tashahhud, he used to point his index finger, moving it, making dua with it. So the sunnah is to point it like this, shake it in its position, not circling like some people do, and not going up and down like people do, rather than pointing it and moving it. There is another hadith which is not as strong, not as authentic, which was narrated by Abdullah ibn Zubayr, may Allah be pleased with him and with his father, that the Prophet used to point and does not move. But the most authentic opinion is the hadith of Wa'il ibn Hujr, that he used to move it throughout. So when do we stop, Sheikh? You begin by saying, التحيات لله والصلوات والطيبات السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله, with different variations of this tashahhud. And I'm moving my finger. Point out that I can say either one, the hadith of Umar or the hadith of Abdullah bin Mas'ud. Assalamu alayka ayyuha nabi. This is Ibn Umar, this is Umar ibn Khattab and others. Or I can say that what Abdullah ibn Mas'ud used to say, which is in Sahih al-Bukhari, Assalamu ala nabi wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And he said that we used to say at the time of the Prophet, when he was alive, Assalamu alayka ayyuha nabi. But after he died, we used to say, Assalamu ala nabi wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So I can say either one. Now this is the first tashahhud. Do I offer salutation afterwards by saying, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammad? No. The most authentic opinion is that this is the sunnah. Imam Shafi'i said that if you add salutation upon the Prophet in the first tashahhud, this is recommended. And the vast majority of scholars say this is okay, but it is not per the sunnah. So you stop at وَأَنَّ مُحَمَّدًا عَبْدُهُ وَرَسُولُهُ. Now, then you go and stand up for tashahhud, your third rak'ah. In Fajr, I continue. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad, and I point out my finger throughout until I offer salam. If I'm in Maghrib or Dhuhr, Asr or Isha, I stand up for the third rak'ah. I continue the third rak'ah, the fourth rak'ah, and then I sit for the last tashahhud. In the last tashahhud, which is in a prayer that has two tashahhud, the first one and the last one, I sit in the position known as tawarruk. And tawarruk means that I sit on the hip, the wirk, and I sit on my left buttock. This is called tawarruk. And I erect my right foot as usual, but my left foot, which I used to sit on, now comes underneath my right leg. So this is called tawarruk. The Prophet used to do this in the third rak'ah in Maghrib and in the fourth rak'ah of Dhuhr, Asr and Isha. Now, I place my left hand over my knee with it. And sometimes it's erect so that I can lean on it, because I can see that my hip and my side is a bit tilted because of this way of sitting. And my hand is on my thigh, pointing my finger, and I'm looking, and this is something important. When I sit for tashahhud, where the hadith, the authentic hadith states the Prophet used to look at his index finger. So I should keep my sight through tashahhud while wiggling it or moving it in its position, shaking it. And this is the sunnah. Some scholars say you can also look at the position of your prostration, but the hadith proves that this is doing it, and that is looking at your. I recite صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد till the end. And then it is recommended to say or seek refuge in Allah from the four things. اللهم نعوذ بك من عذاب جهنم وعذاب القبر من فتنة المحيا والممات من فتنة المسيح الدجال. And then I can ask whatever I want, same as sujood, because this is a place where the Prophet told us alayhi salatu wasalam that you should select whatever you want from dua in this position. So I ask for Allah's forgiveness, I ask for Allah's provision, I ask for Allah's health, to guidance, etc. And then recommended to conclude before salam by saying, Allah ala dhikrika wa shukrika wa husni ibadatik. This dua of Mu'adh ibn Jabal, some say it's before salam, others say it's after salam. I'm inclined to say it before salam because this is the time of dua. And then I offer salam. And how do I offer salam? I say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. If you notice, I did not pause. I did not say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. It's not this way. And it's wrong to say it. People say, Assalamu alaikum, and then turn. No, it should be simultaneous. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. And the sunnah is to make those behind you see your cheek. So you don't say, do this. So they see your cheek, as they reported it in the companions. We used to see the whiteness of his cheek, alayhi salatu salam, to the right and to the left. Among the common mistakes, your hands. In the tashahhud, after you finish, people usually do this. What is this? It's a sign that they have concluded. Who are you signing this for? So while in the tashahhud, they finish the tashahhud and the imam is still praying. So they say, Allahumma inni ala dhikrika wa shukrika wa husni ibadatik. And by the way, guys, I'm finished. Some of them in salam, they would say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. As if they're giving right indicator, left indicator, they're driving. I think it's part of driving lessons. No, it's wrong. You don't have to do this. You're not turning right or left. So doing this is prohibited. The Prophet saw the companions moving their hands while in prayer, and he said, do not do this like the tails of wild horses. You know, the tail of the wild horse is always wiggling and upright. And the Prophet prohibited them from saying this. And it is important to learn how to pray according to the Sunnah, and that you're doing this for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. Some of the brothers in the standing position, when they're praying, and the end of the surah is Min al-jinnati wan-nas. The Imam is reciting, and I'm praying behind him. The moment he says Min al-jinnati, he lets go. What is this? This is indicating that I know that this is the last verse of the Imam and that he's going for ruku'. And this is acknowledged in long surahs. So if he's reciting from a long surah that people don't usually know, and I know that he's going to make ruku' now, I let go. So people next to me say, oh, mashallah, he's a hafiz. He says, Sheikh, I didn't do this for that intention. Why did you do it then? Don't. Follow the Imam. As long as the Imam is doing this, you do it. The moment the Imam says, Allahu Akbar, you let go. But not fulfilling this and doing it before the Imam means that there's something wrong. Either you want to inform people that I know the surah and I know that he's going for ruku', I'm a smart man. Or there's something wrong, I don't know what. Another thing that a lot of the Muslims fail to do is the moment the Imam says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, you find the congregation doing this. And if the Imam take his time to do the left one, they say, come on, man, I'm waiting. Imam, what are you doing? Come on, yahi, my neck is hurting. So they do this, and this is totally wrong. They should wait until the Imam says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Now they say their first taslim, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum. So it is wrong to do taslim with the Imam when he first does his first. No, you have to only move after he finishes the salam. Also, a very common mistake is how you follow the Imam. What do you mean? The companions of the Prophet ﷺ told us in an authentic hadith that when we used to pray with the Prophet ﷺ, we did not bend our backs. Now they're in the standing position, their backs are straight. We never bent our backs until the forehead of the Prophet ﷺ touched the ground. Whoa! Meaning that if the Prophet says, Allahu Akbar, they wait until his head touches the ground, then they start descending. The vast majority of people, the moment the Imam says, they immediately go and fall. Maybe they're fitter, faster than the Imam So they raise him and they go to prostration before the imam, and this invalidates their prayer. So you be careful. You do not move from the pillar you're doing to the following pillar until the imam reaches it. So in ruku', he says, Allah, you don't, until he bends. Then you bend. When he says, Sami'a Allahu liman hamida, once he's erect and standing, you stand up and you cascade this to all your prayers.